also on and is a very senior member. And in the Senate, it's the Finance Committee, again, which Senator Menendez is on and is a fairly senior member. So that's the other thing. We need to be reaching out. We need to let these people know that this is important to this community, because that's a huge piece. If we don't have the community back behind us and saying, hey, we care, I'm impacted by HD. HD runs in, I love someone with HD. If you don't want to disclose that it runs in your family, that's okay. You can say, I really care about someone with HD and I really care about this issue. But we need to let them know. And how do we do that, right? How do we let them know? One can be, we can use social media. Each member of Congress has a Twitter, and each member of Congress pays a lot of attention to those Twitters because they want to see who's talking about them, who's mentioning them, how are they being mentioned, what are the issues that they're getting that they're being mentioned around. So that's one. You can use social media to say, hey, Bill Pascrell, at Rep Bill Pascrell, we need you. We're so happy for your leadership. We need you to make sure this bill passes in 2021 or 2022. No excuses. You can go in, if you really want to do something and do something regularly and easily, you can blast out the e-advocacy campaign, right? At hdsa.org/take action. We've had these e-advocacy campaigns going for many years now, and they're really helpful because it's a low barrier. It's a low bar to entry for making a difference. Anybody can do it, right? You can ask, if you've got a group of friends from college, a group of fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, professional colleagues, and you want to ask them to see if they can make a difference about an issue you care about, that's a really easy way to do it. Say, hey, do you mind going on here and sending a letter? It takes 5 minutes. All you need to do is put your zip code in, a little bit of information about yourself, and then boom, it'll bring up your members of Congress, your senators and your representative, and send them a letter about the HD Parity Act. Easy. The other is you can start telling your story. This is really important. We need folks from New Jersey to talk about how they're impacted by Huntington's disease. We need families to be saying, this is what this is like for me. This is how I'm impacted. We're here, we exist, and this is important to us. And it's so crucial that we have folks from the community on board. So how do we do this? What does that look like? Well, there are a couple of things that we do where we help train volunteers. One of them is to be part of the Advocacy Caucus. So every other Wednesday, every other Wednesday evening, we get together, a group of advocates get together to talk about, where are we at in terms of the HD Parity Act? Who's having meetings? How are the meetings going? What's coming up? What frustrating responses are you getting? Who are you reaching out to in your network? You can always join us on those calls. All you have to do to sign up is go to hdsa.org/caucus, fill out your information, and then you'll get the meeting invites for, again, every other Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to join us for an hour to talk advocacy. And we talk strategy as well. We talk, what are the types of things you want to talk about in your meeting? How do you craft your story? All of that kind of thing. The other thing that you can do, and that I think we as a community sometimes get a little bit nervous about, is engage your network, right? Members of this community, you have friends, and you have friends who have friends. And sometimes those friends or friends of friends know people in power or know people of influence. We need those folks. We need those folks to help us. We need those folks to help get our bill noticed, get our bill, get people talking about HD, get people talking about the HD Parity Act. It is crucial. So if that's one of the biggest ways that we can expand our efforts and make our efforts easier, is engaging our networks. Don't be afraid to do it. If you have questions about, I don't know, how do I approach someone? I'm not sure what I want to say, or how do I do this without maybe disclosing my own status or disclosing someone else's status? You can always reach out to me and I can help you through that, right? I can help you craft your message. I can help you craft what the asks are that you want to ask for those folks, how you want them to engage. It's so important. I cannot stress it enough. We need allies. And the only way we do that is we talk about HD. That's it. It's HD Awareness Month. If you're going to do it, now is the time. This is the moment. So that's really, really important. The things I want to stress here are, we've tried a lot of our work, and a lot of our work as advocates sometimes happens and it feels a little lonely because we don't have folks at our side. right? We don't always have our friends there with us. We don't always have our, other people in our lives doing this work with us. There is nothing that is stopping us from asking. We need them. We need their help. HD is a small community, 40,000 currently symptomatic, another 200 at risk. But not all of, we need more. We need more. And we need every single one of those families to get engaged, and especially in New Jersey. So the other thing I kind of wanted to talk a little bit with you guys about is how we talk about HD, right? One of the things that can be really scary is having a first conversation with a person about Huntington's disease and how it impacts you or your family. And we all have or a lot of folks have the elevator speech, right? Oh, HD, it's like, if you take early onset Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, you smush them all together and have age of onset be about 30 to 50 in your prime working years, you've got HD. It's neurodegenerative, it's fatal, it's awful. And that I think can work as an introduction, but in order to get someone to really care, to connect, we have to tell them more. We have to give them a so what. I think sometimes we can be really good at giving folks facts, figures, information, but that doesn't always create the connection, right? To be effective, to get people to care, we need that good connection. We need to create empathy with other people. And how we do that is we tell them the so what. Okay, so HD is genetic. So what? Right? Well, it means that every person in my family has a 50% chance of, or all of my siblings, we all have a 50% chance of inheriting this disease. And it means that our futures are really uncertain. It's really hard for us to plan for the future. Keep asking that so what question. Okay, so you said that, so what? So what? So what? And until you get to that, you get to the end where you have that sort of core feeling of what, why is this important? Why should people care? You could say, oh, my sister had a bad fall. Okay, you've given me good information, but you haven't given me the so what. So what is the so what? And I'm really worried that we won't be able to keep her at home for much longer. I'm worried that we've kind of reached the end of our being able to take care of her, and that really scares me. That's where you get that connection, that feeling of, oh, okay, now I understand what this means for you. Or I had to reduce my hours at work. Okay. Again, I'm not getting the so what. So what? And I'm really scared about symptom progression. I'm scared that this is the start of me declining. I'm scared that what this will mean, or I'm scared that I need to go see the doctor more and I can't pay for it. So what'll that mean for me? I don't want to be a burden. Whatever that sort of so what is for you in your mind, that's something that's really important to tell those folks, to tell people in your life and tell people in your network, to get them to care, to get them to form that connection. Because once you give them the so what, and they have that sense of empathy and compassion, then there's a willingness to do, right? Then there's a willingness to take action, because you think, oh, because you have an understanding. Without the understanding, it's harder to feel that, to be compelled. It's harder to feel compelled to take action, to be an advocate, to help out. So I just wanted to put that into kind of people's brains as they start to think about their stories, as they think about how they're talking about HD with folks in their lives. Think about how you can add that so what. Where do you add sort of the so what, and what are the points that you want to get across to those people in your life? What are the things you want them to care about? And that's a really good way to build that connection, allow them to do that. It's also a really good point. It's a really good practice for being in congressional meetings, right? You give facts and figures. You might be sitting next to a staffer, sitting across from a staffer, or being on a Zoom call with a staffer. And, okay, you need to get that connection. You need to get them to care. So you need to give them the so what, right? I'm applying for disability. It's already taken, it's taken 18 months so far and I haven't been approved yet. Okay. What's the so what? And in that time, I've had to go without insurance. I haven't seen the doctor in 2 years and I'm at risk of not being able to pay my mortgage and losing my house. That's a big so what, those are the kinds of impacts that we need to let people know about, because it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon that people are going through these hardships, but we have to be able to tell our stories so that people can know that that's what we're experiencing, and know that there are things that they could do to fix, right? Whether it's the HD Parity Act, whether it's something else, whether it's talking to local law enforcement about how they can interact with folks with HD. It's super, super important. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to close out and say that there are so many ways that you can get involved. But for the HD Parity Act, which is my, I have to see this bill passed. It will pass. It's not an if, it is a when. But in order for that to happen, we need you. We need you. So take a minute today. If you want, reach out to Stacy, reach out to myself, sign up for the caucus, join the fight, because we cannot do this without you. That's sort of my talk for today. I hope I lit a fire under some folks, because we need it.
Thank you for that, Jennifer. That was really helpful. And it is really important. And it's also, I mean, you talked about some big ways and some small ways, depending on how much time and where you're at, that you can, anybody can send a tweet and let your congressperson know what you're thinking. And that, it's an important thing that you can do, that just take a minute out of your day to do so.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's close. And so I can imagine, if you've been working on this, we've been working on this for 12 years. Wow. But, I think that the change with the ALS community also kind of signals maybe this is time, that if they were able to do that, then why not?
Yeah. And we think about sort of how that community gets things done. And one of the pieces is visibility, right? One of the pieces is that folks with ALS aren't afraid to talk about it, and don't shy away from it. I know HD is so hard because it's more complex in a lot of ways than HD, and can be more traumatic in a lot of ways than ALS rather. But we gotta talk about it. We have to bring visibility, and not just for the HD Parity Act, but for everything else that we need to do.
Absolutely. All right.
Absolutely. I agree. I can't believe it's been 12 years. That's nuts, by the way.
Really.
I know.
But we're really glad. We're really glad you're leading the team. Like hopefully this year, this will be our year to get we have 2 years to get it done, right?
We do. Yeah. We have till the end of 2022. We got to do it.
Yeah. It's a frustrating thing to think about Congress turning over that frequently. It is. Yeah, it must be frustrating for them as well to constantly be, thinking about how to keep your job rather than, doing the job.
For the House. Yeah, for the House of Representatives in particular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're ready to go with Pasquarel. Suzanne keeps emailing me.
Ready.
Did you hear?
We're ready.
Did you hear anything? Let me know.
So the request is in with his scheduler. We're waiting for the date to get a meeting with him. And this is really, this is a big one, because this is FaceTime with him will also hopefully mean that we can push him to do more.
Exactly.
Right. Excellent. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time today. And I want to thank all of our speakers today, particularly Dr. McCormick, Dr. Fox, and thank you again to Jennifer Simpson for her time this morning. This concludes our HDSA New Jersey chapter statewide conference. And if you ever need anything from our New Jersey chapter, as we mentioned at the beginning, you know how to get in touch with us. We try to be as visible as possible, but if there's anything HD that you need help with, please reach out. We're all happy to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Corlin, for successfully moderating another one of our wonderful education days.
All right.
Thank you very much. All of you.
Thank you.